Hello, everybody. I'm so happy to be here today with well-known makeup artist, actress, model, and digital creator with 7.75 million subscribers on YouTube, Sydney Morgan. Welcome, Sydney.
Hi, you're hyping me up. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to talk to you today.
Yes, I'm super excited to see where this conversation is going to go. So to begin, could you tell us a little bit about your background with sports and track and field?
Basically, I was an athlete kind of my whole life. I got involved in gymnastics and competitive cheerleading very early on when I was about 3 years old. And I tried a lot of sports along the way, and it was always like, wow, Sydney's not that great at softball, but she's always really fast to the bases. Or like,
Yeah.
Sydney's not that great at basketball, but like, she's the first one to the other end. And I never felt like I really belonged in a sport until I started track and field when I was like 10 years old.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So, um, I'm sure you've did since you found that you loved it. I'm sure you stuck with it for quite a while. So is there anything that you learned from track and field throughout your time being an athlete that you could apply to your life or business or any way that it has changed your perspective?
Yeah, so I did track and field from when I was 10 years old up until I graduated high school, pandemic in 2020. And some things that track taught me, definitely discipline for sure, and also just the value of being well-rounded in general. So I was a multi-athlete, so I did all the events, and I
So
still definitely apply those things to how I run my business now. Like I am my own boss in a way, so I have to have a lot of discipline to make myself stick to like a 9 to 5 type schedule
yeah,
because in theory I don't have to if I didn't want to. So it
yeah,
takes a certain amount of discipline to continue to have that happen. Um, and with being well-rounded, I think it's helpful as a creator because you don't want to have all your eggs in one basket in a way. For example, like the TikTok ban could happen. And if I was only a creator on TikTok,
right.
that would be very detrimental to my career.
Yeah,
So having an audience on multiple platforms has been
yeah,
very helpful. And also it's helped me not face burnout because
okay.
if I get overwhelmed in a certain area of content, I'll branch out and do something a little different,
Mhm.
and so on and so forth. So that's kind of how I worked in track as well. Like,
Yeah,
I never got sick of a certain event because I would just train a different event.
yeah.
And that's what I loved. And I still do that with how I juggle my different content styles.
Yeah, that's so awesome. So, like with me being a multi-eventer as well, I sort of think the same way. Like you're training like 7 events. Um, and yeah, if you get bored of one, go to another, and then if you get bored of that, go to another. And I feel like it really balances out your life, and it also allows you to time manage really well because you're not just doing one thing, you have 7 things you need to fit into maybe like a week of training. And I feel like that really does align with like being your own boss, like you said, and really setting your schedule. So
Yeah, no, I love the call out to time management too, because you're right, you do have to juggle so many things as a multi-athlete. And that's what I love about the sport in general is that there's just something for everyone.
yeah,
And you can try so many things within the sport. And also what I really liked about track and field is like, yes, it's a team sport, but it's also very much like on yourself. And you just want to be better than you were yesterday and you're kind of competing against yourself because
mhm,
that is what you can control, like how much you're training, and you can get a better time and not measure it based on who I'm racing against or what other people are doing because that's like a bad metric for success because that's
yeah,
out of your control
yeah,
versus saying like I can put in the work, I can do the conditioning, and just I want to be better than I was yesterday. And that's also how I view my business now, is like how can I improve on myself and what I did prior.
exactly. Yeah, it's so important to really focus on self improvement and not comparing yourself to others because even in like a meet, like you can get first or you can get last. It just depends on who is there, and
Exactly.
you can get the same exact time. So that's super interesting about track and field, and also like you said, how that relates to your business. With aspects like that. So yeah, super awesome that you can make those comparisons and have track and field really help you throughout your career. Um, yeah, so that's awesome. So on another note, you battled with ulcerative colitis throughout your later years in high school. How has this battle made you stronger, and what have you learned from it?
Yeah, so I was diagnosed with pretty severe ulcerative colitis in summer of 2018. So that was right before my junior year of high school. And high school is already so hard and so confusing as a teenage girl. And then just to have kind of like an embarrassing diagnosis thrown into the mix was a lot to swallow in
Yeah,
time. And so I went kind of back and forth battling colitis for about a year afterward, burning through every medication that has been invented to potentially put your colitis into remission, and none of them worked for me. So in October of 2019, I had my entire colon removed in an emergency surgery and resulted in an ostomy bag. And since then, in the year 2021, I had two, excuse me, reversal surgeries to take down the ostomy bag. And now I have a J pouch and I live with no colon, which I didn't even know was possible, but it
yeah,
is.
yeah,
So how that made me stronger is going through that at such a young age really shifted my perspective on a lot of things, like little things on a day-to-day basis that before I was diagnosed I felt like were the end of the world, like
really,
meant nothing to me at that point anymore. And I really realized like what is important is to do what makes you happy and what is fulfilling to you, and really not care about any outside
yeah,
opinions or out- inputs or anything like that, which is
yeah,
something that is very important in high school. Is like you want to fit in and do what the crowd is doing.
right, yeah,
Um, and I always really liked art and makeup, and I was kind of embarrassed in a way to share that. And I really started sharing it during my colitis journey and in recovery is when I started posting my little portfolio online.
yeah,
And how I got involved in the creative art and makeup is I was doing friends for proms and stuff like that, or doing creative makeup on myself. And I also volunteered through my high school art department to do face painting on children at local like fairs and carnivals and stuff like that. And then I started posting them as a portfolio kind of on my Instagram account.
yeah,
And then in 2020, I had to take a gap year to get a couple more surgeries for my colitis. And then also the global pandemic happened. So
mhm,
it was almost normalized to take a gap year.
yeah,
And within that year, I started sharing video versions on TikTok just as like a creative hobby.
yeah,
And they very quickly started getting a lot of attention that I hadn't anticipated. And
yeah,
I liked doing it and I had a lot of time to invest in it.
right,
And
yeah,
that's kind of how I got started in social media. But the colitis is really what gave me the confidence to just do what I think is cool and do what makes me
yeah,
happy and what fulfills me. And just like nothing else matters. Like, seriously, nothing else matters.
yeah, yeah. Well, I'm so glad that having something so difficult that you struggled with has a positive impact, and you can take something positive away from it and really show others and teach others um, what good can come out of something so hard. Um,
Yeah.
yes,
There's always a light at the end of the tunnel.
right,
Like,
yeah,
what's coming is better than what's gone. And I just really tried to keep a positive outlook through the entire thing. Like, I knew I was going through a really hard time, so what was coming after would have to be so stinking good to make up for the
yeah,
bad that I'm going through right now. And
mhm,
that's kind of how I looked at it.
yeah, right. And I'm sure you could say that what came after is probably pretty good, right? Where
Oh
you're at.
yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah. So, you sort of touched on this a little bit, but what would you like anyone to know that's battling ulcerative colitis right now? What would you like them to know to allow them to stay strong and stay positive through their fight?
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing that helped me was taking things one day at a time, because starting to think about the future can get quite overwhelming when you don't know kind of that time frame of when you're going to be in the worst of the worst position of your illness because it is a very up and down process. So just try to take it one day at a time, have a positive outlook with your whole situation, have a strong support system of
Yeah.
friends and family. Something that really helped me was making friends within the Crohn's and colitis community. And I was able to do that through the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation, actually. So I was able to connect with other girls my age going through something similar because
Yeah.
it can be a quite isolating diagnosis and kind of embarrassing. So to have people that relate to you to share stories with was very helpful. Um, and yeah, I think that was the biggest thing for me. And also something that helped me was looking up like famous people that have Crohn's and colitis or
Yeah.
famous athletes or business people that have Crohn's and colitis and just like seeing that it didn't stop them from
Mhm.
doing these great things and that
Yeah.
it's not going to stop you either.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so awesome. Like putting it in perspective and really realizing that what you're currently going through is not going to define the rest of your life.
Exactly.
And there are better days coming. And yeah, and knowing people that also overcame this and are doing great things with their life. So
Yeah, I'm very big on like don't worry about what's out of your control. And a lot of your Crohn's and colitis journey is out of your control, like whether
mhm.
medications work or things like that. But something that is 100% in your control is your mindset and your outlook.
Yeah.
And your results are going to be the same, whether you have a negative attitude about it and self pity and think, why me? Why is this happening to me?
Yeah.
Versus having more of a positive mindset and being like, I can get through this and I can get over this. And
Mm.
I did have to make that shift. And once I did, like, I saw tremendous improvement on a day to day basis.
Yeah. That's so crazy how even your mindset can affect your recovery, your healing, the process. So
Oh, yeah. Everything's linked. Like, your mind is so powerful.
yeah. Yeah. So just knowing that and you sharing that also, I'm sure will help a lot of people. So
I
thank
hope
you.
so.
And so like I mentioned, you are now a famous makeup artist, while also being an actor and a model. Um, so can you explain a little bit about how your talents in art allowed your platform to take off? And I think you already mentioned a little bit about that. And also like what your content looked like when you were first starting out compared to what it is now.
Yeah, so I always was super into art. I was drawing and painting ever since I could pick up a pencil. And I did have a debate later in life, probably in high school, when I was thinking about what I wanted to apply to colleges for,
Yeah.
and whether that was going to take the creative artistic route, which had been a hobby up until that point, but
Mm.
something that I really loved and was really passionate about, or if I wanted to take a path that was a bit more traditional and that people in my life were kind of pushing me toward, whether that be medical field or business. So that was something that was heavy on my mind in high school. And up until the pandemic, I think I had made the decision that I was going to take the traditional route that I maybe was less passionate about, but seemed more stable.
Yeah.
Um, and it just, things happen in the way that they're meant to. And
Yeah.
the creative side took over. So,
That's awesome.
like I said, I was doing the face painting and stuff like that. And it started as kind of a creative outlet during my struggle with colitis and
Mhm.
a hobby. And then there was another shift that I had to figure out when that hobby turned into a full time career that is providing my income and that is fully up to me, my schedule. And
Right.
also now I have a team of people that are also relying on me to force myself to be creative and make content so that they get paid. So that was something that I struggled with, the burnout and the force of creativity
Yeah.
versus when
Yeah.
creativity strikes, you make art versus now it's like you make art so that, your business can thrive and you
Yeah.
can pay your rent type of situation.
Yeah. So do you think that that has like affected you and your creativity with sort of being forced to make content rather than making content like you said when your creativity arises, or do you think you manage that well?
It's definitely different because now it's like I have a schedule and it's like you're sitting down and you have to film five short videos.
Yeah.
So make it happen, basically.
Yeah,
And I try to make them the best that I can while also getting out as much content as I can.
yeah,
And sometimes I'll do something that I'm really passionate about as like a big project,
mhm,
but there's a certain weight between like performance and also like passion in a way.
yeah,
So I do things now a bit more calculated because I
yeah,
know the formula of like what will perform and do
yeah,
the numbers
yeah,
versus there's like bliss in ignorance when I was getting started, like how you asked about how my videos were different in the beginning.
yeah,
I had no idea that I needed a hook in the first 3 seconds, the ideal video length, like
yeah,
to
yeah,
put text on the screen, this, that, quick cut zooms. All I did was make stuff that I thought was cool.
yeah,
And it was fun and fulfilling and light. And sometimes I wish that I didn't know as much so that my content could be more like pure.
yeah,
So that's also a balance that I try to weigh as well.
yeah, that's definitely real. So, yeah, but so what advice do you have for anyone wanting to try something new and put themselves out there, sort of like you did when you said you started creating your content, and then it sort of exploded?
Definitely do it. Anytime something strikes you as like, what would happen if I did this?
Yeah,
Weigh the risk versus reward. And if it's something like posting YouTube videos, there's no risk. Why would you not? If you think
yeah,
it's cool, try it. If it doesn't work, move on to the next thing. Like
yeah,
it's not that serious. And if it's something that you really want to do, just do it so you don't have to wonder what if.
that's true.
And if it is something like posting videos online, just make sure it's something that you really care about and you're really passionate about because in the beginning, it's a ton of investment, a ton of time invested, effort, creativity for very little payoff in a way. It took about that first year for me to start like branching out, hiring a team, and making the switch from passion project to a full-time job.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
just make sure it's something you really care about. And if you ever wonder if you should start something new, do it.
yeah, yeah, right, because why not? And like you
Yeah.
said, if in like 30 years or when you're old and you look back and you're like, "Ah, I wish I did that," or whatever. And that could be with anything. Like, yeah, like you were saying, like athletics, YouTube, whatever it may be. So that's just like a good life lesson, really.
I'm a big advocate for like take that leap
Hmm.
type of person. And that was something that I thought about a lot when I was debating between pursuing this full time and making the move to LA or taking the traditional route and going to college like I had planned.
Yeah,
And in my mind, it was like college will always be there if I want to go back. It's
exactly.
not going anywhere. I can always further my education. I could do
Yeah,
both. I could take it slow. But the opportunities that I am being presented now
yeah,
through this social media platform will not always be there. And if I don't jump on them now,
yeah,
I will always wonder what if.
yeah,
And I'm glad that I made that jump. And I'm very happy that it has been as successful as it is.
yeah, yeah. Well, congratulations, and
Thank
that's
you.
awesome. Yeah, you're welcome. So sort of going off of that, do you know what your plans are for the future, or what you wanna do with the rest of your career? Whether it be like acting, modeling, or continuing to making YouTube content like specific to makeup.
Yeah, so when I moved to LA, a lot more opportunities were available there. So I
Mm,
did try more modeling and acting and music a little bit.
yeah,
But I found my way back into the beauty content, which is why I started, what I love, what I'm passionate
yeah,
about, why people follow my channel in the first place. So I'm definitely going to continue making beauty YouTube videos, content
yeah,
online. Um, and I would say the long term goal now is to develop a beauty beauty brand and use my channel to promote that brand, but I want the marketing to kind of have nothing to do with me so that it doesn't limit people to use the products that only know who I am, so that hopefully that business can outlive my social media career and
yeah,
that maybe one day when I am burnt out from the rat race I can take a step back and just focus on my business.
yeah. That's a really smart idea, though, to sort of be involved with. You're the one who has this. the makeup, selling the makeup products, in the makeup line, but not exactly have it be connected to you. So like you said, I feel like you'll reach a greater audience that way.
Yeah.
And I know you already have a makeup line sort of, right?
Yeah, I've done some beauty products in the past and collabs around certain events. Like I launched a lip gloss at VidCon in 2023 that we sold out at VidCon. So that was like stepping
Mm,
my toes in the water. And I sell some merch now,
yeah.
which I just launched a new one yesterday actually for I think it was Respect Your Cat Day. So I
Mm,
did a crew neck that is themed by my cat Boots. Shout
yeah.
out Boots.
Yeah.
And so I'm just kind of testing and seeing what products resonate with my current audience and what they like. Just out there now before I
Yeah.
really dive in
Yeah.
with my brand. And so we're working on building and finding the right partners,
Yeah.
and that is definitely the long-term goal, but I don't want to rush into it, and I
Yeah.
want to really make sure it is like perfect before I
Yeah.
launch it.
Yeah. That's so awesome. I wish you the best of luck in that and everything and the future of your career. You're doing amazing things. And it's been like really it's been like a short period from like when you started and now. So the possibilities of where your career can go is exciting.
Well, thank you so much. It was so
Yeah.
nice getting to catch up with you today.
Yes. Yeah. You too. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast and taking the time to talk with me.
Yeah, of course, and best of luck to you too.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.